I was in the courthouse and in the courtroom when Mike Flynn pled guilty to lying to the FBI, and part of that is a long process where the judge makes sure that Flynn really understands the constitutional rights that he's waiving by pleading guilty. And in that process, a member of the government, the prosecution team, said, and it's now in some of the records that have been released by the court, it states very specifically that on or about December 22nd, so really the heart of this Flynn record has to do with these days before and after Christmas, after the election. It says this very senior member of the presidential transition team directed Flynn to contact officials from foreign governments, including Russia. And this had to do with a UN vote and how those countries would vote at the UN on an issue related, to the Middle East. So the question is, who is this very senior official? And as John Roberts just said, there are really only a handful of people who fit into that category. I would just connect a couple of points here. What we learned in the last 10 days is that Jared Kushner was interviewed by the special counsel in November, about 2-3 weeks ago. So you can see that the special counsel has been pulling together people to help build the body of evidence against Mike Flynn. Just a couple of other things, if I could. When you look at these records and it talks about the degree to which Mike Flynn is going to cooperate, it says here he will do so fully and on whatever basis the special counsel requires. Earlier I spoke with someone who's very close to Flynn who said to me he entered into this agreement for a handful of reasons. He was broken financially, he was broken emotionally, and that his family could not face another 2 to 3 years under the sort of the lever of the government in the Russia investigation. And just because he's made a plea agreement today, he's pled guilty, doesn't mean that he's off the hook with the special counsel. In many ways, because he's already admitted to lying, he's under additional scrutiny about the quality and the fidelity of the statements that he makes in the future. And the records are very clear that he cannot refuse to cooperate with the special counsel at this point without facing a penalty. What's typical in these cases is that the deal is off the table here.
Bill, I know you've been covering this all morning long, and with each hour we get so much information with what Catherine just gave us, though, and you may have a question for her. I'm curious to know, Catherine, if you're still with us, how this actually impacts the look now at those senior aides in the transition to Trump. Bill, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, Catherine, I think it's terrific reporting. To boil it down, I think what the White House would argue today is that all this happened post-election. Democrats who have been very critical of this White House prior to the transition process, they're going to argue you're a long way from getting to a final conclusion. And I think at the moment that's kind of where we are right now.
When you look at the records that were released this morning by the government and what you heard in the courthouse behind me, it's clear that Michael Flynn was playing a role as a go-between, sort of operating between this sort of sweet spot with the incoming administration and then also with foreign governments, and specifically what's cited here is contact with the Russian ambassador. One of the central complaints of the Obama administration, which does appear to be borne out by the records today, is that there could only be one administration at a time, there could only be one president at a time, there could only be one administration at the time. And this really goes to their argument that the president's team was really moving very quickly to embrace their new responsibilities, yet may have gotten over the tip of their skis in some respects, because this is not in the Flynn case with the contact with the transition team at Mar-a-Lago over the Christmas period. This is not a single phone call. This is a reporting back and forth. Here's what we've got. I've talked to the Russians. Here's what they brought back to me. This is what we're taking back to them. So this was a very active back and forth process. It was not a one-off. So when you look at this issue of collusion, I think it becomes a question of whether the glass is half full or half empty. Is this a kind of coordination with the Russians that is out of character for an incoming administration, or is it completely in character, which is what the President Trump's team has maintained so far?
All right, we had on Alan Dershowitz on our network yesterday. I spoke with him, and one of the things he said was that, we need to get ready for some sort of a deal to come from Mike Flynn. He was aware of his financial situation. In fact, today it's being reported that Flynn is looking perhaps to sell his house very quickly because he's out of cash and needs
that's
that.
Confirmed.
Yeah,
that's confirmed.
So
that's confirmed.
What Dershowitz, though, was saying was that he would sort of put him out there to be able to talk about different people, to be able to point to different things. And what I hear you saying, Catherine, is the FBI is going to watch even closer now to make sure that whatever he offers up is absolutely the truth.
Look, Flynn has made this deal, and I spoke with someone close to Flynn after the hearing this morning, and you can't see a plea agreement as putting you in a position of strength. It puts you in a position of weakness in the sense that you must fully cooperate and provide information to the government that they request, because they always have that lever to break the deal, cut the deal, or they have the lever of, when it comes to sentencing, to what degree did your level of cooperation mitigate how much time you will spend in jail or how much money you will have to pay in federal fines. So he's, this is not a day where he's off the hook. This is the day where he's kind of gone down a path where he's under further pressure and further scrutiny. And based on the records that are released, he must fully cooperate, and he must do so in a fulsome way, in an accurate way, and to the best of his ability. So this would take you to not only paperwork, because that's what it says in these records, but it would also take you to individuals as well.
Catherine Herridge, thank you for your excellent reporting on that.